Welcome back to another Overwatch Coach VOD review. So we're coming at you guys with another Brig VOD review. I know I just did one, but there's a lot of Brigs floating around after the alt rework. I'm a little curious to see how people have been playing Brig with the new ultimate. So let's dig into their intro. First post on this sub. Been a long time lurker, but after getting dunked on this season, I think I need to rethink my playstyle. I main Brig, but can decently play Bat Mercy Ana. I peaked at Diamond 2 last season, but ended Diamond 3, and my MMR for this season started me at Diamond 4. These past few weeks have been brutal. I feel all the games I play are 1000% winnable, but I still end up losing. So obviously I'm doing something wrong. I dropped back to Plat 1 on my last re-rank, which really bums me out. After being so close to Masters last season, I'll be posting 2 VODs. And then I grabbed one of them. Let me see. I'm going to sum up what they posted here on the Route 66 game. They felt they played bad. Whip shot. Comment on the whip shots, on when and how they're dying, which I'm assuming will kind of coincide with positioning, which they bring up a bit at the end as well. So, all right. Just my quick take off of your intro. Brig is not a hero to main. She's a hero to swap to when certain criteria is being met. That criteria being a few things, primarily though anti-dive. When the enemy team is diving, you go Brig, or there could be some other characters, but Brig is like the anti-dive character. So when the enemy team is putting themselves at a position where you can easily swing your mace at them because of their play style, that is ultimately when you should go Brig. Other reasons for going Brig would be if you're not good at some of the more ranged supports, but there's an objective that needs to be pushed. Brig can kind of pseudo do that. If you're running a support that lacks mobility, you can bodyguard them with Brigs. Kind of same principle as what I just gave you on the cart, because you're kind of bodyguarding the cart. Those are kind of the scenarios I see where playing Brig is helpful. Another one that's a little bit more unique, maybe to just advice that I'll give, is I notice when an enemy team goes Winston, and if my team is not doing a good job at breaking the Winston bubble, or staying out of the bubble, or making the commitment together to fight inside of the bubble, Winston can become a problem to a lot of the common healers, because, like Ana can't heal you if you're inside of it and she's outside of it, and suddenly now you've been cut off. So a lot of times I like to go Brig because Brig is good at brawling with Winston. She's not gonna just die in like a couple seconds fighting him if she decides to go inside of the bubble and smack him around a little bit. She can also throw armor packs through his dome. So Brig is sometimes a hero I'll swap to when Winston becomes an issue. Winston is a dive character, so again, it makes sense, like anti-dive, versus the dive kind of a thing. But a lot of times you'll see Winston without a lot of other dive characters being played with him. Technically, you should be running other dive characters with a Winston, but you don't always see that. So those are the instances in my recommendation where you should be going Brig. I don't recommend just coming out of the gate as Brig, though. I don't feel like she's strong enough to just warrant one-tricking, and in my opinion, that's probably why you're starting to derank, because of your hero choice. Like, you're just trying to force a hero on your team that your team doesn't need. Not saying you can't make it work. You obviously can. But it might be easier to play other heroes that might just kind of fit scenarios better. So if you are finding yourself kind of latching onto Brig, I would suggest trying to learn the Zens and the Lucios, the Kirikos, and the Mercies of the world. Lifeweaver is going to fit into that category as well. Still not really sure what to make of him after I heard about the recent buffs that they've done to his character. We'll have to see how that all plays out. I do think those buffs were needed, though, because I do feel Lifeweaver was kind of weak on the initial launch. But that's another story for another video. So let's get into the VOD here and see what we've got.
Attackers incoming. Stop the payload. Move out. Shields up.
So the one thing I'm going to say right out of the gate, I'm not a big fan of holding up here. Especially if you're playing a short range support, because once you throw 3 armor packs off, you're not doing anything. What I personally would like to see in a case like this would be like you in the tank playing down here, kind of holding this choke right here. And then the DPS and the Ana staying either like on top of that sign or up there or somewhere up here. I'm not a big fan of fighting up here. I know it's a strategy. I'm just not a fan of it, and I feel it's not a very good one. And especially playing Brig and staying up there, it's really not good because you really can't, as Brig, you can't do anything up here.
Helping you recover.
All right, so they are running some dive. They got Doomfist, they got Tracer. I forgot to kind of do a team comp analysis here. So that's good. So in a sense, you got lucky coming Brig out the gate and having some dive to counter. That part is good. However, the positioning your team is taking isn't really advantageous to you. You can be bodyguarding the Ana. That's really all you can do here. You know, keep the Ana up, let her kind of deal with the brunt end of the healing. Save at least 1 armor pack for the Ana. Try to eat the rockets with the shield. Keep the Tracer off her back, the Doomfist as well. And just let the Ana kind of, you know, do the brunt work of the healing. Yep, good. Yeah, that's good. You got some shots off on the Tracer. You guys have the hit scan for the DPS, or the Pharah, so that's good. So where I was saying, like, you know, forcing Brig onto a team that might not really warrant it, in a case of other heroes to play here, the first one that screams out to me would be Mercy, and the second one would be Zen. If you're looking for ideas of other heroes that would fit into this team comp, BAP could work too, actually. I would probably save BAP if the 2 DPS were struggling to kill the Pharah, and then you could, you know, kind of throw some extra damage out there if like a Discord Orb or Mercy damage boost wasn't really getting the job done. But those would be the 3 heroes I would suggest.
Let me take care of that for you.
So save the shield bash when you're actually in range to land it. I would not use shield bash in a case like that to just try to close distance, especially against a Tracer, because when you land shield bash, that's going to do a nice little chunk of damage to a Tracer. Just walk up on her, If she's reloading or not really looking at you, just drop the shield real quick to try to make up some of that distance a little bit quicker. And then as soon as she starts looking at you or firing your way, just throw the shield back up. That would have been a good opportunity to whip shot. I see you don't have it though, but you know, missed it. I would try to fall back to where your team is at this point. Your team's kind of falling all over the place here. Good whip shot there. I would try to get back up top just because that's kind of where your team is. That or the mid ground, which is where you just kind of came from. I would not be staying down here though. So they went Genji now instead of Tracer. Still a dive character that you can benefit from. However, Genji's going to be a little bit rougher for you, but still somebody you can smack around with the mace and generate your healing. Don't like that use of your shield bash. Save that for two things. Save it for when you're engaged against a DPS and you can get that free little bit of damage off. Or if you need to escape, use that as an escape ability to kind of get around some form of cover or something like that. Yeah, I don't think I would have saved your whip shot there. I think the other thing that I would have suggested, let's rewind this just a little bit. So okay, again, you shield bash to close distance. Not a fan of that. That's number one. But then, okay, you've essentially got the cart safe. So instead of doing what you're doing, what I would suggest is kind of make this area right here your own. That way they gotta come to you and then you can smack them around with the mace, and then you can always shield bash in the direction of the mega if things get hairy. And then you can keep the cart contested from here too. And then if you're inside of there, you're probably not getting ulted by the Pharah unless she goes really low. Because you would have had cover to have escaped that. Ooh, let's... So they're 2 down, you're 1 down, you're coming into the fight. You shield bash to close distance again. Now you can't stun. Ash got some armor, you didn't end with any extra. See, this is the problem that I'm starting to notice, because you're the second guy or person that I've done a Brig VOD review for since the Brig Ultimate has been reworked. And so far, I'm not liking what I've been seeing out of people's ultimates out of Brig. And I said this in the last VOD review I did for Brig, that I'm not a fan of the rework to Brig's Ultimate. I feel like it's actually been made weaker than the previous Ultimate, and it does not warrant the pick rate that people have been giving Brig since her Ultimate has been reworked. That ultimate there didn't really do much. What I'm looking for primarily out of Brig ultimates, after it's been reworked, is one, what value are you providing your team with the elongated, beefed up shield? That's number one. Number two, are you getting stuns off, specifically stuns that cancel abilities? And then number three, are you giving your team armor? So far, I haven't seen that out of any of the VODs that I've reviewed, and I'm not seeing a lot of that out of the games that I have played where people are just like insta-locking Brig either. And this is at a Masters, like a mid to upper Masters level that, you know, in terms of what I'm witnessing in the games that I've been playing. So, things to think about for when you use a Brig ultimate.
Helping you recover.
Rest your shield. Get your shield back up here.
60 seconds remaining.
I'll come and go. Shields buckling. Get it. Here for you. Beams.
Okay, that was good. Bad whip shot again.
30 seconds.
So when that Doomfist, when you hear him charging up, that could be a good opportunity to shield bash because that ends up being a stun. And then your team could focus on the Doomfist while he's down. Haven't really seen you look for that yet. That could have been another one. You could have shield bashed and been really annoying to the Doomfist. You got really focused on smacking the Doomfist as opposed to protecting yourself, and then you died. That Zen, you were an easy target for him because you were essentially frontlining. So, if we look here, let's go up a bit. See where you are versus where your team is? You're frontlining. Brig isn't a tank. She can take a little extra damage, but she's still not a tank. And see how you're just dropping and then you died. You're frontlining. Your tank is over here and you're over there.
10 seconds remaining.
So that was a positioning gaff on your side of things.
I can protect you. Shields under fire.
Everyone, heal up. Damn it.
Jiantu,
I'll try to repay the favor.
let me help you with that.
So that was a better shield bash in the sense of, okay, you used it as an escape because you thought you were going to be inside of a dragon, which I'm not actually sure if you were going to be or not. Let's find out, I guess. I don't know where that dragon was. You might have been. I don't know. We didn't see it. But the concept of what you did there, I'm more a fan of. Alright, so I think I like that ultimate better just on the sense of how you treated it. So, let's look at this for a second here. So, you see your Orissa's getting pretty low. We'll call that about a quarter health, maybe like 33%, something like that. So, you all... Now, you didn't know they were about to get nanoed. So you're doing what you can to keep that Orisa alive. And this is good because you've got a beefed up bigger shield that can protect your tank. They're going to get armor from you. And then you got a stun off. So I like that ultimate better than the other. And then you got another stun off on the Doomfist. So that was a better ultimate. And at least 2 people came away with that with extra armor. Unfortunate that you haven't. And this is another thing that I've been noticing with people that Brig has not... I have not seen the people that I've been VOD reviewing ending with extra armor at the end of their ultimate. And I think that's because of the mindset that they've got a bigger shield and they're trying to use it. So they're taking a bunch of extra damage, but then when the ult ends, now they're back at 200 HP again versus the previous iteration of Brig where, you know, you got that trickle armor and then you would end with that little bit of extra armor, that would be on Brig too, and now we're not getting that, and it essentially makes her less tanky as a character. And the other thing to throw into that is a lot of times people would ult in the previous iteration of Brig as you were going into a fight, so your whole team would walk in with a little bit of extra armor. Your whole team would come away with it. I haven't been noticing, like, Ana's, for example, getting much armor from the new Brig ult because she's playing so far into the front line. So a lot of characters that are commonly played are not benefiting from Brig, which is an interesting interaction now, because normally you like to see Brig's bodyguarding Ana's, but do you really want to see Brig ulting next to the Ana when she's so far away? It gets situational. You know, obviously if the enemy team's playing a lot of dive, then you could probably still make that work. But that's, again, why I say don't one-trick Brig and pull it out in certain situations. Because some of this stuff kind of seems to get lost in the shuffle now.
Deine Pflicht ist nicht getan. Shields buckling.
60 seconds.
Yeah, that was going to be a hard whip shot to land. You were testing the range on that too. I think you would have... Whoa. What just happened there? What did she deflect? Yikes. Must have been an Ash shot. It headshotted. Yeah, probably Ash. So, I mean, the only thing I can say there is you got to keep your shield up a little bit more. If you kept your shield up, you wouldn't have died. However, the Ash should not be shooting at deflecting Genjis. So, you could have not died there, but it is what it is.
En gång till.
Multiple mistakes were made on that one. You could have kept your shield up more. The Ash could have not shot at the Genji. Yeah.
30 seconds remaining.
Keep your heads down. You've almost got this.
Let me take care of that for you. Shields under fire.
Okay, that got pinged. I'm assuming that was by you. If it was, good job. If not, start pinging.
Tactical visor activated.
So your Ana died that fight.
I have you. Keep fighting.
10 seconds.
Sleep tight.
Your Ana's playing well here.
Tactical visor.
So the Genji dives the Ana. It would have been kind of nice to have seen you and the Ana working together a little bit better there.
Score 0-1.
At the very least, one armor pack should have went to that Ana. Don't be one of those supports that doesn't heal the other healer. That is one of the things that triggers the absolute living hell out of me when I play this game. When I've got a fellow support that isn't healing the other support, I run into that way too much.
Mission underway. Escort the payload with me.
They want to fight, huh? Let's get it to them. Helping you recover.
Okay, so they are still running some dive. So you should be bodyguarding both the cart and the Ana, which should kind of be simultaneous. I don't think the Ana is going to veer too far away from the cart, and you really shouldn't either. This should really basically be a death ball comp. The one thing, though, that you're really going to have to be careful of is that Bastion. You need to stay out of line of sight of him when he's in tank mode at all costs, because he will melt you. He'll melt your shield and he'll melt you. Once he's out of tank mode, then you can kind of start poking away at him. You might be, depending on the range of where everything's at, you might be able to land a whip shot on him and kind of knock him out of line of sight when he's in tank mode. If you're close enough, I'm not saying be like super close to him, but one, if you're close enough, and then two, if knocking him back a bit knocks him out of line of sight. So say, for example, you push the cart a little bit more and then you knock him deeper into the roof of the gas station and then he can't shoot over the ledge, kind of a thing. That's kind of the line of thought I'm thinking of when I'm saying that. Otherwise, you got to definitely kind of stay away and keep your distance from that bastion. You're not going to be able to do much against the two supports here, and it's really going to be about if the Doomfist and the Genji dive you and the Ana, and if they don't, then Brig's going to be hard to get good value here. If they do that, then you should be able to make Brig work. You absolutely do got to work on these whip shots, so you are missing a lot of them. Pick your spots maybe a little bit better. Don't just throw it out at the first sign. I like how our Genji is completely upside down here. But pick and choose your spots a little bit better. Wait for the Doomfist to maybe kind of actually stand out here while he's doing his block. This Genji ain't going anywhere. I mean, he's completely inverted right now. You could definitely whip shot that fairly easily, as opposed to when the Doomfist is just kind of peeking out and then gone again. That would be probably my best suggestion to you for improving your whip shots. Don't just throw it out at the first sign of, Careful here, this bastion's, yeah, so, okay, good. You got out of line of sight. Then you kind of boop him back. That's good. So yeah, just be careful of that bastion. Okay, he's out of tank mode now. You can look. And I'm okay with you peeking the bastion in tank mode if you're close to cover and you can eat a little bit of that damage with your shield and then fall back and be out of line of sight. Like, that's completely fine. I would almost say that's expected of a Brig to do. Just make sure you're playing that positioning well enough to be able to do that. Because if you're just out in the open and the bastion can just wail on you, like say for example you're like right here and you've got nowhere to go, don't do that. But if you're playing like kind of over here and the bastion's over here and you peek it and then fall back, that is more in line of what I'm talking about. And that's what you did, so that's good. Stay with the cart.
Helping you recover.
I would stay with the cart here. I'd say your team's pushed up a little too far. Let that cart move with 2 or 3 people on it. Missed another whip shot. So again, hold on, let's watch this. So the Genji dives your Ana. That's what the Doomfist and the Genji are supposed to do. Dive the Ana. Where you're completely oblivious to this. I didn't even notice it quite at first until I saw she died. Like, you're just completely oblivious to what your Ana is doing. No health packs being sent. Like, if I were that Ana, I would be very frustrated with you, because it's like, what is the point of playing Brig if you're not bodyguarding the cart and the Ana? You're supposed to be anti-dive and you're not countering this Genji. You're very focused on the Doomfist. Okay, so you killed him, but he already got a key part of his value in. Hit your armor packs on the Orisa. Good, good. Okay, good. You're going for the Kiriko. Yeah, it was a good whip shot. Armor packs on the Orisa. Now, I don't think you stunned anybody with that one, and considering where the Doomfist is, that's a little surprising to me that you didn't get a stun off. I think you got a little too focused on the Kiriko, and I mean, Kiriko's got the mobility advantage on you, and she's got plenty of places to use her wall climb or her teleport to stay away from you. So really all you can do in a situation like this is keep your Orisa playing aggressive and try to out damage the healing coming in from the Kiriko to the Doomfist. That's really all you can do. It would either be that or have the Orisa standing like on top of the cart and then shooting at the Kiriko, which, I mean, that definitely could have happened too. But once the Kiriko got up there, there's not a lot as Brig you could do. It would either be that or leave the cart and then walk up the steps and, you know, come up here and try to contest high ground. But that would have been kind of leaving your Orisa in a rough spot too. So, yeah. And then once the Kiriko ults and the Bastion comes back, now you're left out in the open and you're just in trouble. So a hindsight thing would have been maybe actually going to high ground and trying to contest that Kiriko, but ultimately, ultimately you needed to keep that Ana going in that fight. At this point, just regroup as 5 and go back in together. At least they use some ultimates. So unless this Bastion gets a really valuable ult off, you guys are in good shape here. Not a fan of that shield bash. What I would be doing here is I would, since nobody's really... Okay, actually, wait, I take that back. Somebody is shooting at you. I would go around here, come out the other side, and work underneath the gas station and try to put pressure on the cart. And then while doing that, throw armor packs to whoever needs it. And then once you're on the cart, they're going to have to drop and pay attention to you. And then you can use that and then fall back to the Mega, play around on the inside of the gas station. You can always fall back to the outside. You've got a lot of cover there. You're playing very out in the open at the moment, and you've got the Bastion looking at you. And then on top of that, you shield bash and throw yourself more out in the open. Ana is the one who needs to be paying attention and healing the Orisa. You need to be healing the DPS and, more importantly, the Ana. Yep, you're out in the open and then they delve you and you got left to your own devices. But luckily for you, the DPS had both of their ults, and the DPS ults carried that fight.
My ultimate is fully charged. Get in there.
The other thing you could have done is you could have took that tunnel and then worked your way underneath the gas station and then done exactly what I said from there too. That would have been another option. So you're just sitting out in the open again. Play the cart. You should be pushing the cart. Use the cart as cover. You play Brig like you think you're Reinhardt.
I'll try a different approach.
The payload is approaching its
Sending care
destination.
your way. Allt kommer bli bra.
Shit. Okay. Look at that whip shot.
Sending care your way.
Like, you're trying to whip shot a Genji mid dash from almost probably max distance on the whip shot. Actually, let's take a look once. Is this max distance? Or are you out of range too? I'm not really sure. Let's find out. Okay, so Genji's right here. Is that, wait a minute, is that Genji? Yeah, that's Genji. Genji's right there. Oh, okay, yeah, you had plenty of range to go. Okay. So, all right, you definitely had, I mean, that's, what is that, about 75% of the range? That chain is really long. That's pretty crazy that all that chain can just sit in there. Anyway, but you're trying to whip shot Genji in mid dash from about 75% of your range. Like, pick and choose when you use whip shot. Like, you're just throwing it out there at the first sign of trying to whip shot something, and it's just not going to happen. Like, imagine whip shotting like here when it's closer to you and it's going to boop him away from the Ash. You know what I mean?
Kommer bli bra.
Be careful.
We really need the payload to move.
I'm very concerned that there's still like a minute left in this VOD and the cart's like inches away from ending this. I'm very concerned. That shield bash, I don't know what that was. Like, you could have shield bashed the punch and knocked the Doomfist down. Okay, good whip shot. Another opportunity to shield bash. You gotta punish these Doomfist punches. The last Brig VOD that I did, they weren't using their shield to block Sigma rocks. You're not using your shield bash to block Doomfist punches. So a commonality that I'm starting to see out of these Brig VODs that I'm doing is, if you're playing Brig, you got to be able to use your kit to counter abilities that are coming at your team. If it's Sigma, you got to block his rocks with her shield. If it's Doomfist, you got to try to get in the Doomfist's way and shield bash the Doomfist as he's coming in, so that he gets knocked down and he becomes a super easy target for everybody. It might make you an easy target too, and some of it might be situational on the positioning of it, but there's definitely been opportunities here where you could have punished that Doomfist from just willy-nilly punching into everybody and getting away with it.
Sending care your way. Placing shield.
So you wasted shield bash to try to make space into the fight, and then you wasted your whip shot, and now you've got no abilities except for one armor pack and then just holding your shield up. And then you threw it on the soldier who was already at full health, also being nanoed, while you've got Ashe at nearly half health and Orisa at about half health as well. And your Anna's in trouble. Or was. Not sure why you're not popping your ultimate here.
I hope you weren't holding back.
Okay, you got it. You could have popped that ultimate just to try to get value off of it, but yeah, so pro... actually, wait, let me protect Anna to jeez, my penmanship on my mouse is terrible right now. Value abilities is what that is. And 3 is going to be positioning. Shield bash. I'm going to push shield bash with that. So protect your Ana. You're not really bodyguarding her. She's kind of falling completely out of your radar. Valuing your abilities, it feels like you're just throwing them out there as soon as you can, as opposed to getting value out of them. 3, your positioning at times was all right. At times could have definitely been better. We covered that as we saw it, so I won't go too deep into that one. And then your shield bash, the way you're using it, I would reconsider doing kind of a deep mental thought into how you use your shield bash to getting more value out of it. So that would be my best suggestion for you on that one. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.